Let's fucking roll. All right, everybody, welcome back. You're listening to the SALTYmf GOAT Podcast. I'm Brad Banish. I'll be your guest today. We're live from the McBastard Studio in Foco, USA. And today we are really excited to talk to Mike Byer, the Executive Director of Operation Song out of Nashville, a 5013 nonprofit. These guys are just doing amazing things in the vet community, as well as songwriter community and for vets families. So Mike Byer, welcome, brother.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. Excited to talk about Operation Song and the McBastard Studio. Is that what you said?
Exactly. We'll have to get into that, but it's a long story. But there's just everything we do here at Salty. We have a story behind it, and I'll let you know real quick. So I found out I was adopted 3 years ago, and as a joke, I got my kids together and said, in lieu of all this new information, I'm changing our last name from Banyas to the McBastards. So about 2.5 years ago, when we started a studio, I didn't want to name it something SALTYmf Studios. I wanted to give the studio its own, feel so that people could use it and other people could come in. And so when I asked my kids, they're like, what should we name this studio? And they're like,
Yeah.
all four. I'm like, Dad, it's the McBastard Studio. So there's the history behind Salty's live music studio called the McBastard Studio. So
I dig it, man. I'm adopted myself, so I like that.
Yeah. So, when you find out at, 53 years old, you had a good life, it is what it is. So little humor to it. No offense to my biological mom and sisters, but hey, you got to have a little bit of humor when your whole life is flipped upside down and you find out you're not really who you thought you were. You got to kind of lightheartedly say, hey, let's roll with it and go. So
man, story of my life right there, buddy.
Well, man, I was so excited. You and I talked before. We were so excited to get involved with Operation Song, just for what you guys were doing and what we were doing with Salty's live music and band groupies. And I think it's amazing. So tell the world like what it is, like why y'all did it, and you're doing some amazing stuff.
Well, Operation Song, as you said, we're a 501c3. We're based out of Nashville, but we actually go all over the country doing this great work. And so our mission is to pair professional songwriters with veterans and their family members to tell their stories. We write songs with them, and the military community and first responders. We write with first responders as well. But they're full of stories. They have stories for days. They could write albums just on their one individual, and so. We're just proud to be able to do that, and it's a way for us to honor their service and their sacrifice, and kind of record history as well. That's the way I really look at it. Is we're not just writing songs here; we're recording individual history and creating legacies for these individuals as well.
Yeah, I mean it's amazing, and I mean just the pairing with these songwriters. You guys have some really talented songwriters, and I'm sure from an experience as a songwriter. It's pretty humbling and also just amazing to be able to help, this vet or their family. So the family may have stories about, a fallen relative or son or daughter. So it's kind of, hits you kind of in the heart. There's a lot more meaning to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to give you an example, our songwriters, I always joke with them and I tell them, I say, I don't care how many great hits you've written. Everything you've done up to this point was to prepare you for this, because these are the real songs that mean something. It's not writing for the radio, not to discount anything they've done before. I just joke with them about it. But the truth of that is these songs are, they're true stories. They're, they're not about dirt roads and tailgates and beer. They're about somebody's life, somebody's service. And, you mentioned family members, and the reason we include family members, which we're pretty proud of, because there's a lot of organizations out there that they focus only on the veterans and the service members, but the family member serves just as much. When that wife, has to take over everything and be responsible for everything while her husband is gone for a year, or that Gold Star mother who loses her son, or the kid who, as in my kid's case, man, I was probably gone about 7 years accumulated, for, their childhood. And so there's stories there, and and that's part of our military culture. And so, that's why we include them. I love telling that. But the songwriters, yeah, for them, they don't have to come in with an idea. They don't have to come in with, trying to figure out what next hit they're going to write for the radio. It's simply just sitting down and listening to a story that's already there, and then just putting the puzzle pieces together. So it's for them. It's meaningful. It's incredible, and I hear it from them all the time that this changed their life, and some of their most meaningful work.
I bet, man. I mean, to be able, it's some serious stuff, right? To be able to take, could be a story of pain, could be a story of glory, could be story of something good, right? That happened. You never know. But the reality of, you're putting that in your hands as a songwriter or a lyricist to be able to, help get that out. It's very powerful. I love the community you guys have. I love what you're building, and it was really unique because it's funny. You and I have talked. I mean, people look at us like, oh, these guys, Salty's live music. They're doing this band groupies thing with local live music and fans and musicians. Like we sponsored a songwriters event down in Fernandina Beach, last year, and I'm sitting there and and they're like, oh, this person wrote this for so and so, or this person wrote this for so and so. This hit song, one after the other. And as someone who wasn't deep in that, I'm just thinking, well, why'd you give that song away? Like, why'd you give that to that guy? Why do you? And like, it's a whole ecosystem and just like culture around this whole songwriting side. And I mean, from an outsider, I had no idea, right? I didn't know how this worked. So it was pretty neat to see what these people had created and then went on to be, gold records, right? So.
Yeah, yeah. This I tell you, I tell our songwriters that they're the backbone of Nashville and the music industry, and especially the backbone of Operation Song. I mean, we
Absolutely.
couldn't do this without them and their skill and their talent. So it's amazing. It's really, to be part of this. I'm incredibly blessed and grateful every day. There's times where running a nonprofit, man, is really stressful and a lot of hard work, and you
Yeah.
get a lot more no's than you do yeses. And but man, when we can go and even write one song that changes somebody's life, that's makes it all worth it.
Yeah, I mean, and we do a lot with nonprofits in another world than the tech space, running their stuff and stuff. But it's it's a grind for anybody in a business, any nonprofit or profit. I mean, it becomes it's a grind. You get a lot of no's, right? And
Yep.
trying to get donators. So that's one thing also that I hope comes out of this. If you're listening to this and you're in and around our ecosystem, whether it's the band groupie side or the Salty's live music side or what we're just doing as a lifestyle brand, as Mike said, I mean, they depend on donations and partnerships to be able to keep doing this and spread the word. And I think a lot of people, Mike, it's funny when you write a service or create a service, people don't realize like, well, that didn't just happen. Like it costs a ton of money to try to get that out to you to try to do some good. And people miss that because they just see what the entity is now but they don't really truly understand the operational side behind it and the money it takes to do
Yeah.
that, right? So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll say this is that, when people hear about money and things like that, our first of all, our services are completely free to veterans and their families. Always will be. And we're pretty proud of that. We're not going to ask them to pay or donate or anything for us to help tell their story. This is our thing to do for them. And so, but it does cost money, and we have to pay our songwriters. And now a lot of our songwriters would do this for free. They said, man, I'd volunteer my time, but you know what? You don't, people spend their time and they give their skill and their talents, you want to compensate them. And we don't compensate them for what they're worth by any means, but we
Right.
do give them something that helps offset that, offset their time and their talent. But, yeah, it's, fundraising is always the challenge. And, we're very fortunate this year that we've brought on a lot of new great partners, and we have a new Patriot Partner Program which we started this year, which has allowed a lot of businesses to come in and support us and help us out across the country. And it's really I look at it as we're creating this network of Patriot businesses and they help us reach veterans everywhere, and it's just been incredible, especially the outreach that we've received this year. So
I would think, not calling any particular, music people out that are stars. But I would think that anyone in Nashville that's made it, right? Anyone that would be, say a Jelly Roll or whoever's out there, right? A Morgan Wallen or whoever these people are. Not calling you guys out, but like the Zach Browns, whoever it is. I mean, I would think that this would be a very good cause for a either a record label or managers around these people to get involved. And maybe there's a lot of them that do, I don't know, but that seems like that should be something that so that's
you
just
would
my assessment as a green. I'm just some guy in Georgia. So
you would think, Brad, you would think. Now I will say this in their defense: a lot of artists, once they get to that point where they are, a recognized artist, they've typically already identified their charity that they want to support, and so it's kind of like you got to get in with these guys before they really make it, so they can bring you along. But we've had some great, support from artists. Like Scott Stapp at Creed. He's written with us,
yeah,
performed with us. He's done a few other things. Just an incredible guy, great patriot, and I'm sure we'll do more with him in the future. We've had performances with Lee Bryce, and many others. So it's we get a lot of one-offs and things like that. But it's the music industry is just that. It's an industry, and so. Uh, the unfortunate thing to say is that, they got, if there's not a lot in it for them and their business, that's kind of like, okay, well, we can do this, but we're not going to do A, B, and C, whatever.
yeah.
But,
Yeah,
so
it's kind of it's amazing to me. And I mean, it's amazing to me I think the mentality, and it's in the athletic world too. I mean, we do stuff around athletes and stuff too, but I think it's kind of like the mentality, well, I had to struggle for 10 years to do this or whatever. It's almost like, hey, that you really want it bad enough, you got to do it. And I think that mentality is true in some cases.
yeah,
But some cases an opportunity like Operation Song, where you guys aren't really, you know, monetizing and profiting from the output and the music that you guys create on behalf of these veterans. It's kind of it's a different feel, right? It's not
sure.
like it's so. But anyways, that was my kind of way to plug a little bit and try to stir the water. So that was
Well,
my
we,
subtle
wel-
way of
yeah,
stirring. Get involved. But
we welcome all support and help. We never turn anybody away. So,
yeah. So just curious. I mean, you and I have talked, and I can just tell you're just such a involved executive director there, and your passion for it's awesome. That's why I like you personally. I think you're a good guy. Like, what are some of the like? Is there anything that stood out to you over the years of you guys have been doing this? Like this particular one, right? This particular song, this
mm,
particular veteran. And you don't have to call the name out of people, but this particular family, like it really, I guess, kind of embedded why you want to keep doing it. And maybe you have that feeling for all of them, but is there something that you can point to, like, oh, this is it, right?
I mean, I would tell you I don't even know where to start, really.
Yeah.
I mean, we've written over 2,500 songs
Oh my
since
God.
2012, and I'm to the point where a lot of times I've heard so many songs now. I think I'm just going to hear the same story or a similar story. But man, I'll tell you, I'm always amazed that there's a different perspective or a different way of looking at this situation. And for me, the most prominent story that sticks out in my mind is first and foremost is mine, which is why I got involved in this in the first place. And Operation Song was brand new. Bob Regan had just started it, and I was fortunate enough to be able to attend a retreat in Nashville down on Music Row, and it was still, I think this was like one of the very first retreats Bob had ever done, and so he was still trying to figure out, okay, what's this thing going to look like? How are we going to operate it? Um, and so I was actually going through a medical retirement from the Army at the time, and my son I had just gotten back from his graduation from basic training. And I don't know if I told you this story last time or not, um, but it was like for me, that was an extremely powerful moment, an emotional moment with, me and my son at his graduation, because that ended up being the very last time I ever wore my uniform, which was standing with my son on that parade field. And, I got to pin his infantry cord on him at graduation. And
That's
so
awesome.
that following weekend, I go to this retreat, and, I get invited, and I don't know anything about songwriting. And like, what the hell is this? I can't write a song. I can barely play guitar. I just started playing guitar at the time. And, so I sit down with these two guys, Travis Meadows, Mark Beeson, never heard of him. I thought that, all these artists wrote all their own songs. I thought Tim McGraw was like a great songwriter. He didn't write nothing, man. All these songwriters wrote stuff for him.
Yeah.
But I sit down with these guys, not knowing they were these great hit makers. And, they asked me about my military service. So, I didn't know them. So I just kind of give them my elevator pitch. And, but I got to the point where I said, hey, I just returned from my son's graduation, from basic training. And they could tell that I was very passionate about that, because, changing my voice, whatever. But Travis, he like hooked in on that, man. He's like, okay, well, hey, tell me more about this. What does this mean? What did you do this? And so he's literally writing down every single word I say. And, I didn't know that he's over there writing a song. I thought he was just like taking notes or something. And so in the span of about 40 minutes, uh, he writes a title at the top of the page, and then he asks me a couple more questions, and then he puts his pen down. He picks up his guitar, and he never strummed a chord, never hummed a note, never sang a melody, not once, just wrote down notes. And he picks this guitar up, and it was funny because he's a left-handed guitar player, and I didn't know that you could get guitars left-handed, because I'm left-handed, and I like didn't know you could do that. So I've been playing a right-handed guitar, struggling to, and so I'm thinking like, man, this guy's playing it backwards too. What's getting into that? And but Travis starts to sing this song back to me, and man, I got to tell you, I just broke down. Uh, it was just so incredible and powerful. And the great thing about it, it was a story, basically about my retirement as my son's joining, kind of this passing the torch moment, and him seeing the things that I didn't want him to see, all the things I saw and did. And so it was so incredibly powerful. But the cool thing about that is that song, wherever I go now, and if I play it somewhere, if I, sing it or it just gets played, somebody always comes up afterwards and they say, man, that's me and my dad's song, and that's me and my son's song.
That's
Um,
awesome.
so that for me, that was what hooked me. And I was in a really bad spot at the time. Um, Needless to say, coming back from deployments and getting medically retired. And so for me, I learned that, there are alternatives to, medicine and alcohol and the VA, and music was absolutely one of those. And so for me, I latched onto that, and our founder, Bob Regan, and I became really good friends. And so I helped him out through the years as much as I could until I got myself finally into a better spot. And, about that time he said, man, I'm getting really tired, Mike. I'm working harder at this than I did as a songwriter for 30 plus years. And he goes, I think I want to retire. So I said, well, we're not going to let this thing go away. It's too good to let it just slip away. So I said, well, I'll take it over and I'll run it. And that was around maybe late 2018 when that happened. And yeah, we haven't looked back, man. We've just been growing and writing and changing lives, just like
That's
mine.
awesome, man. Well, I love your story about that with your son too. I mean, yeah, it's an emotion. That's definitely an emotional thing. I mean, and
Yeah.
for people to be able to, these, songwriters to capture that and then kind of put it together, I mean, that's an art. I mean, that's 100% skill. I mean,
Absolutely.
kudos to all the songwriters out there that, I'd like to see you write your own song and be famous like these other people that you're writing for them. But I guess there's a place for that and whatever. So, but that's awesome, man. So, another thing as far as like how does someone if I'm a vet and I want to tell my story, or I'm a family and I want to tell my story, like what's the like the process to get onboarded with you guys and get all this set up?
Yeah, so you can just go on our website and you can sign up on our website to we have some intake paperwork that you provide, and we treat you as a songwriter. So when you come into this program and you write a song with us, you're not just sitting there and letting the songwriter do the job for you. You are a co-writer in this, and so we have paperwork for you to fill out, a songwriter agreement, which basically outlines your rights as a songwriter. The songwriter and the veteran that write this together, they each retain 50% of the copyright of the song. Operation Song Music Publishing, which is registered with ASCAP, acts as the administrative publisher for the veteran. Should the song ever, get cut and make any money, we've not had that happen yet. I mean, we've got some songs on some streaming platforms that make some micro pennies every now and then, with the way streaming works today. But yeah, so it's very simple. You just go there, fill out the paperwork, and after that, we'll reach out to you. So this is a virtual process in this aspect.
Yeah.
And so we'll then reach out to you and pair you up with a songwriter, and you guys then decide, when you want to talk and work on the song. And it's usually can be done once you're connected with the songwriter. It's usually done within, a week to a couple days. Um,
I want to make another point from the left field. Like, if I was a famous musician, whether country or whatever, I would be using Operation Songs 2,500 lyrics that have been written, whatever. And like, that's just me as a business side. Hey
yeah,
man, this is actually pretty good. This is I mean, I don't know. So all you guys out there looking for all these songwriters having songwriter sessions, you use this bank here and then help the vets out, help the songwriters out, help Operation Song out. I don't know, Mike. I'm getting interested in all the back end stuff of it. I think there's some diamonds there that we need to get out there.
there are absolutely some diamonds, man. There are some incredible songs in this 2,500 song catalog, and I tell you, it's you hear it all the time. People are like, "Why is this not on the radio?" And I'm like, "Well, that's just
Yeah.
not the way the industry works nowadays," and which is sad. But um, we always look for that opportunity. If somebody wants to cut one of these songs, and uh, but we don't really actively seek it out, because that's not our number one mission. Our
Yeah.
number one mission is to tell their story in the way they want it told, that honors them and respects them and makes them proud, and that's the number one thing. And then if something ever comes of it, that's great. That's just an after effect from it. But
Yeah,
uh,
absolutely. I look at it as like, the nonprofit wins because some of that's going to go back to a nonprofit. The vet and the songwriter win,
yeah,
or the vet's family member wins. So, I
yeah,
mean, the reality of, I know that nobody wants to like commercialize something that's really good in a nonprofit, but reality of it is some of those things hit big. It brings more acknowledgement back to what the root,
yeah.
what the heart of this is, which is Operation Song. So
Now
that's a
I will tell you that we speaking of artists, we do have coming up here. I guess it's next week. So if you're familiar with Cody Jinks, Cody Jinks is.
Yep, I actually know everyone, I think, probably knows who Cody is.
Yeah, incredible guy. He's going to be performing and doing some stuff out in Honolulu, and so he and Ward Davis is an independent artist that tours with Cody a lot. But Ward's been a big supporter of Operation Song for a long time, pretty much from the beginning, and so we're actually sending our founder Bob Regan out there with him. And we're going to write a couple of songs with some veterans and Cody
That's
and
awesome.
so
Well,
um,
kudos to Cody Jinks. You're a good
yeah,
man, Cody Jinks.
yes,
There's a
he is.
guy, here's an independent guy that he holds true. Good for you,
That's
Cody
right.
Jinks. I
That's
like
right.
you more now. I liked you before, but I like you more now. So
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Good man.
that's awesome. That's awesome. So, can you tell me a little bit? Like, I know you guys, you kind of go on these road trips. I love your videos. You're packing everything up and rolling out. So, like, what is that like when you're going out to say Michigan or Kentucky or wherever you're going? What are you doing there? Like, what's going on?
Well,
Is it
so
just like a sit down songwriter session or what's happening?
well, there's a lot of things happening, man. We just got back from Wisconsin a couple weeks ago, Green Bay, as a matter of fact, and it was our 4th year up there. So typically, whether it's Wisconsin, New York, Florida, Texas, when we go out, one, we're always riding with veterans, but two, what we do the second day is we try to have a large performance where we invite in the community, sell tickets. We, have a big show and performance where we honor the veterans within the community. They get to hear their stories and their songs and raise a little bit of money for us to help us cover expenses and things like that. So there's a lot that goes into it, man. I tell you, I give a lot of credit to our team. We have 3 full-time staff, including myself, plus 1 part-time, and we pull off. They're not all the same size, but we pull off around 35 to 40 events a year, and some of them are pretty good size events, 500 people or more, and man, that's a lot of work. So I got a staff that's just, man, they're incredible. They're very passionate about the organization and what we're doing, and they're definitely underpaid for sure, but they definitely they get a big reward from seeing the benefit that these veterans receive.
Yeah, running. I saw it. I used to run. It was a large like football league, youth football league, but
Mhm.
we're nonprofit, right? And I think we had over 200 volunteers or whatever or more
Mhm.
if you include the moms and team moms and whatever. It was huge, and people just like, man, I'm like, you just do it because you love this, you love the community and the idea of teaching young kids about sports
Yeah,
and life and whatever. But
yeah,
it literally, I did that for quite a while. It's almost it's a full time job, even
yeah,
if you're volunteering. And
it
so
is.
God bless all your volunteers and your team because I find that was more rewarding for me, like, you're not getting compensated from it. You're not getting paid for it. You're doing
Mhm.
it because you feel like it's the right thing, for the community or the kids or passing on knowledge. And, those were some of, be honest, I look back, those are probably some of, best years of my life being involved in that stuff. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's been amazing. It's been an amazing ride, and I hope to keep doing this for many more years. But yeah, we've got an incredible network across the country, from Texas to Wisconsin, New York, Florida. Just some amazing people. Some of those are veterans we've written with, or their family members, and so it's incredible to see how this thing has grown from when I went through in 2013 to where it is today. It's matter of fact, I had lunch with Bob Regan, our founder, yesterday, and he's, every time I see him, he's like, "Man, I'm amazed at how far this thing has come." Guess I never envisioned this, so
that,
makes me
that's
proud.
awesome.
Proud that he's proud.
Well, he passed it on to a good man, so
Uh,
that's part of it. One thing I'd like to do with you, and I don't know, it's probably just, re-ginning some of those 2,500 awesome stories that are buried. I mean, I would love, depending on what you guys can do with that or the content or what's allowed. I mean, I'd love to highlight, uh, you know, one a week, right? Or, or whatever, just of this, and highlight and tell the story and post it out. Because I mean, when I tell people, like, we didn't get into this whole music stuff because we didn't know what we were doing. Like, it was really just, so we were highlighting athletes, we were highlighting fighters. Let's
yeah.
highlight some musicians, right? Like, I ran into some local musicians. It's just people, right? And I think the power of what you guys have, I'm not putting you on the spot. We can talk after, but I mean, I would love to help do that and get that out, because I think, like I said, these stories need to be shared,
Yeah.
regardless. So
Well, and yeah, we'd love to do that and discuss that more. That's absolutely something that uh, we would encourage. I mean, that's why we write these songs. That we don't write them just for them to sit on a shelf and nobody else hear them, because there's a benefit of it for the song, or for the veteran when they write this song.
right,
Uh, but what we try to do with this is we encourage them to use that song as a tool to go out and share their story with others. Because whether you're a veteran or you're a civilian who never served, chances are you're gonna feel something from hearing that song. As a veteran, I can tell you, I can relate to so many of the songs that I hear, and I'm like, yeah, I can remember that, man. I understand what that's like. Or as a family member who has a father from Vietnam who never spoke about anything,
Yeah.
but they hear that song for the first time and like, wow, my dad never said anything like that before. I understand now. This helps a lot. So, these songs and these stories, they're meant to be heard by other people. And that's the
Yeah.
one of the great powers behind it.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I mean, I just looking back, my dad was in Germany in Army, and there were some terrible things that happened and, impacted their family and then impacted the generations to come after, right? And you don't really think of that, right? You don't really, because it's such a long time ago, but the things that occurred, when he was in Germany impacted, really kind of generations to come with some
Sure.
death of his child and some other stuff. And that's everybody has those stories.
Yeah.
Everybody has that. I think it's just a matter of even thinking like, wow, that's really something you to honor what happened then. Like, and that was a long time ago, but I love
Yeah.
it, man. I think it's a good cause. Kudos to all the songwriters too that dedicate their time to the veterans or their families that are courageous enough to be open. I mean, you're opening your soul, like you're sharing that moment, just like with your son, right?
Yeah.
You're opening a piece of you that most people may never see, or you're not really sure you want them to see it. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
God bless you for doing that.
for a community of individuals who tend to compartmentalize more than they talk about anything, it's a big deal it's a big deal for a veteran to sit down across from somebody they've never met, they've never talked to, and for them to say the things that they do. But that goes to show you how incredible our songwriters are. We don't ever
Absolutely.
try to portray this as therapy. It is very therapeutic, but
Right.
we want to always make sure that the veterans and their family members understand that you're not sitting down with a therapist. You're sitting
Yeah.
down with someone who just wants to hear your story and then tell your story. That's it. And it helps too, I think, knowing that from the veteran side of it, it helps knowing that a lot of these songwriters, they've written some amazing hits, many of them, and some of them
Yeah.
are Hall of Fame songwriters. And so for you to sit down with somebody like that and to think, wow, this person wants to hear my story and help me write a song about it, that takes some of the edge off of it. And it's often we find that the veterans and the songwriters, of course, they build a relationship that day, and some of them, they've become like family to each other. So
That's
it's
awesome.
really cool to see all the different dynamics and things that happen just off of writing the song. It's really amazing, man.
Yeah, having some old crusty veterans come out and that are used to just rub some dirt on it. you
Yeah,
know, I mean, I get it. My dad was an awesome man. He was very good to me, very loving to me, but he wasn't the most emotional
yeah,
guy. So so
absolutely.
his
Yeah,
his
I
way,
was,
if he would go like if he wanted to give you attention, he'd sit there and like hit you on the back.
yeah, and,
And that was his way of
yeah.
saying, "All right, hey, I love you, man. I'm glad you're caving in my back." But
And man, I'll tell you, I was the same way. And now these past 12, 13 years of the Operation Song, man, I'm like a big baby now.
yeah,
My son actually told my son's been in the Army for 11 years now, and he says, he goes, Dad, you're getting kind of soft as you get older, and I said, yeah, I'll still whip your son. All right.
yeah. I don't know if you get softer, you just get wiser, and you
Yeah.
realize what's important and what matters and what doesn't matter. I don't think like you get softer, you're just kind of like, yeah, that doesn't, it doesn't really bother me anymore. I'd rather hold my grandkid than, whatever, go do whatever. So I think you just kind of get
100%.
wiser to what's important.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So,
Yeah.
well, man, I am so grateful for you, to be on. And, as I told you, we'll do whatever we can to highlight, promote, bring attention to. It's just it was just when we met, I was like, dude, this is just awesome. Like this is like we were trying to highlight these independent musicians, and this is going on, and it's just such a good feel. And there's nothing like just nothing bad about it. There's nothing that you can shoot a hole in it. And, there's a lot of critics out there in the world, unfortunately. So, but,
There are. And I tell you, I'll challenge anybody that has any questions or doubt about Operation Song, come to one of our events. Just
yeah,
come to it, hear the veterans and their stories and their songs. I promise you, you will leave unchanged. And, we've got a show in our big end of year show in Nashville on December 6th. Uh, just going to be an incredible night of celebrating Operation Song and some of the
yeah.
veterans we've written with this year. And so I encourage anybody that wants to come and actually see it, make a trip to Nashville this December, and I promise you, you won't be disappointed by it.
So how do they do that? Like, do you get tickets for it? Like, where can they go now? Like, I mean, we're really only, but we're only about a little bit over a month out from that. Like, what would they do to come to do that? Like,
So
can
you
they
go to
just,
our website, operationsong.org, go to the events tab and scroll down to, you see it should say Nashville Benefits, December 6th. It's going to be at the Loveless Cafe, which is in Franklin, just outside of
okay,
Nashville. And yeah, it's going to be just an amazing night. This is our 4th annual benefit we've done here in Nashville. And I mean, man, it's just every year people are just blown away. I'm blown away by it. And I've heard all these songs before, but it's just the emotion and the just the pride and the patriotism that you experience that night is unbelievable.
that's awesome. December 6th, right?
Yep,
Loveless
December 6th.
Cafe, right?
Mhm.
Franklin, Tennessee.
Yep.
So go out to operationsong.org, check that out. Also, just go out and they have a lot of stories online. Go listen to them. There's, as Mike said, there's kind of a song list. Listen to that. And then I encourage anyone out there, music or non-music, if you believe in what's going on, you could be a vet oriented company or a veteran owned company, a musician that's made it, a musician that right there might even be in Nashville, some in other areas. I mean, get involved because it's building that community and really honoring probably what you started playing music for many, many years ago, to tell a story about your life or whatever it may be. And Operation Song is doing a hell of a job doing that right now. So, Mike, gracious for your time, buddy. I've got to know you a little bit. You're a great dude, and much success. And we'll continue to do anything we can. So, if you got anything else to say in closing, say it, or I'll close us out.
Well, again, I just want to say thank you, Brad, for having us on, man. I was always grateful for any opportunity to talk about Operation Song and our mission. And yeah, just check us out, operationsong.org. We also have, there's links to our Bandcamp page on there, which is where we place all the songs. We've got a YouTube channel. Of course, look us up on social media to kind of stay abreast of all the things we're doing. We've got a lot going on, especially in this last couple months of the year. Some really exciting stuff. And if anybody out there, a business owner, and you want to become a Patriot partner, it's just an incredible community that we're building to help support these veterans and their families. Just reach out to us at contact@operationsong.org, and we can get you set up.
That's great. Well, you've been listening to Mike Byer, executive director of Operation Song, based out of Nashville, a nonprofit. We think they're doing good work. We're going to continue to try to highlight these great stories from our bless our veterans and families that serve them, and the songwriters that help bring out that song, that inner story that's buried in there. So God bless you to the songwriters, the vets, the families. So that's it. You've been listening to SALTYmf GOAT. I'm Brad Banyas. That's all, folks. Let's go.